The pregnancies of Queen Anne Stuart. Anne came into the world late at night on the 6th of February 1665 at St James's Palace in London. She was the fourth child and second daughter born to the Duke of York, who would later ascend the throne as King James II and seventh, and his first wife Anne Hyde. Her father was a younger sibling of King Charles II, the reigning monarch over England, Scotland and Ireland, while her mother was the daughter of Lord Chancellor Edward Hyde, 1st Earl of Clarendon. Queen Anne's reign was marked by significant achievements, notably her role as the first ruler of the unified Great Britain in 1707. Her reign was a testament to her resilience and strength in a period dominated by male leadership. However, Anne's life was also shadowed by personal sorrow as she endured the heartbreak of 18 pregnancies, none of which resulted in a child who survived to adulthood, marking the end of the Stuart line. Queen Anne's life was a constant struggle marked by profound personal tragedy, particularly through her experiences with pregnancy. Between 1684 and 1700, Anne endured 18 pregnancies, but none of her children survived to adulthood, leaving her heartbroken and bereft. Anne's first pregnancy in 1684 resulted in a stillborn daughter, setting the tone for the many losses that would follow. In 1685 she gave birth to Lady Mary at Whitehall Palace, and although Mary initially seemed healthy, she tragically died of smallpox before her second birthday, while at Windsor Castle. Anne's third child, Sophia, was born on May 12, 1686 at Windsor Castle, but sadly she died only 8 months later on the 2nd of February 1687, only days before her sister Mary's passing. Anne's next pregnancy in 1687 ended in a miscarriage, and this would be the first of many. Over the next several years, Anne would suffer a total of 8 miscarriages, each one adding to her anguish. Amidst these miscarriages, she managed to carry another child to term in 1689, William, Duke of Gloucester. Born on 24th of July at Hampton Court Palace, William was Anne's longest surviving child. However, despite living longer than any of his siblings, he too was doomed. William died at the age of 11 on the 30th of July 1700 from what is believed to have been acute bacterial pharyngitis, though some historians argue that smallpox was the real cause. The heartbreak continued for Anne. In 1690, she gave birth prematurely to another daughter, also named Mary, at St James's Palace. This child lived only for a couple of hours due to the complications of her early birth. 2 years later, Anne had her final live-born child, George, on the 17th of April 1692. Tragically, George survived for only a few minutes, just long enough to be baptized. Of Anne's remaining pregnancy, 5 resulted in stillbirths, and among these, her final pregnancy in 1700 was particularly harrowing. The child was a stillborn son who had tragically laid dead within Anne's womb for at least a month before being delivered. The relentless loss of her children took a devastating toll on Queen Anne. It is widely believed that she suffered from APS syndrome, an autoimmune disorder that can cause recurrent miscarriages and stillbirths. Additionally, Anne's own health was in decline, plagued by severe gout and other chronic conditions, which some speculate may have contributed to the deaths of her children. Despite these deeply personal tragedies, Queen Anne remained resilient in her role as a monarch. Her reign oversaw the unification of England and Scotland into Great Britain in 1707, and she continued to fulfil her duties even as she mourned the loss of every single one of her 18 pregnancies. The weight of her grief, however, was immense, and it defined much of her life, leaving a legacy of sorrow intertwined with her achievements as a queen. In the final months of Queen Anne's life, her health rapidly deteriorated, and by early 1713 she was no longer able to walk, and her condition only worsened as the year progressed. At Christmas, she became feverish and fell unconscious for several hours, sparking widespread rumours that her death was imminent. Although she briefly recovered, she was gravely ill again by March of 1714. By mid-1714, Anne's relationship with Robert Harley, her Lord Treasurer, had soured. She had lost faith in him, complaining to her cabinet that he had neglected his duties, was often incoherent, and was frequently drunk. She also accused him of treating her with disrespect and dismissed him from his position on the 27th of July 1714 during Parliament's summer recess. Despite her failing health, which her doctors attributed to the immense stress of governing, Anne continued to involve herself in state affairs. She attended 2 late-night cabinet meetings to discuss Harley's replacement, but was too ill to attend a third. On the 30th of July, the anniversary of her son Gloucester's death, Anne suffered a stroke that left her unable to speak. On the advice of the Privy Council, she transferred the Treasurer's office to Charles Talbot, 1st Duke of Shrewsbury. Queen Anne passed away peacefully at around 7:30 a.m. on the 1st of August 1714. Her physician, John Arbuthnot, remarked that her death had come as a relief to her after a life marked by constant illness and personal tragedy. Reflecting on her many sorrows, he wrote to Jonathan Swift, "I believe sleep was never more welcome to a weary traveller than death was to her." Anne had endured 18 pregnancies, but had no surviving children or heirs. She was laid to rest beside her husband and children in the Henry VII Chapel on the south aisle of Westminster Abbey on the 24th of August, 1714. At 49, she had lived a life full of suffering, and her passing, though sad, was seen by many as a merciful release from her long struggles.